Hi guys, welcome back to Hairdryer Treatment. I'm really excited to start this show. Firstly, because there's a massive game that we're going to be previewing, but also because, of course, we've got a very special guest on, and our lovely Meg as well. But I'll start with the new guest that we've got on, Greg. It's your second time now. Thank you so much for joining us again. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I thought you were referring to Meg then, to be totally honest, because I feel like as a regular, I'm part of the show. But yeah, I'm doing really, really well, thank you. Just cracking on with being locked down and trying to keep myself busy. Hope you guys are doing well.
Brill, that's good to hear. You got to keep busy. Meg, how are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. I was going to say it's a bit weird because it's the weekend, but actually at the moment every day is like the weekend when there's nothing else to be doing. You can't go out at the weekend, so nothing else. Maybe it all feels like a Monday, but I'm going for it all feels like a weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Greg, but I started off with a bit of a trend. We were talking about Meg was going on a rant about Maguire. Obviously, she's centre back, so she's defending him. And I ended up calling Meg Maguire, and it's kind of stuck from that. So that's a new nickname for Meg. So whenever you're on the channel, we refer to Maguire, and I like that they've mentioned that in the chat.
Maguire is in.
But yeah, obviously today we've got a lot of things we're going to talk about tomorrow's game, but also we're going to do a bit of a combined 11 as well and see if we breaks into that. And I think it's crucial that we focus on the players who are fit right now and available. So obviously the likes of Van Dijk would obviously make that team, but are not around at the minute. So we're going to do that in a bit. I'll give you some thinking time first. Guys, get in the chat and ask any questions that you want to ask as well. But firstly, Greg, how are you feeling about tomorrow's game?
I'm actually quite excited. We sort of briefly said that you're getting nervous and everything else, and there is a level of nerves, but I think that's a really positive thing. I think United fans are nervous because this is one of the best times to play Liverpool that we've had in such a long time. Yeah. And I think nerves means that there's now a level of expectation. And I think what's been really interesting is sort of seeing people's social media conversations, what they're saying, what they're thinking. And we're starting to see people's mindsets revert back to how it used to be during the Fergie era, where we'd go into games, big games, and have a level of expectation. I think it's safe to say over the last few years, we've not really had much expectation. And especially over the last couple of years in particular, we've been hoping that we don't get absolutely hammered at times. So this is a good thing. Nerves is good. Excitement has got to be mixed in there as well. So I'm very excited. A little bit nervous, of course, underneath it all, but it could be one of those really special games. I hope it is. I hope it just doesn't turn obviously into some form of defensive standoff. It has all the elements to be really quite special at the moment, which I'm looking forward to it. Really am looking forward to it.
And like you say, we don't want it to be anything like the Manchester derby that we witnessed. I'm hoping it's going to be two attacking teams going at each other. Hope it's going to be entertaining. I mean, Meg, do you think Greg summed it up there? The fact that this is probably a really good time to be playing Liverpool right now.
Yeah, I think like when what Greg said, you kind of like lost that fear factor, that Manchester United fear factor a couple of seasons ago. And actually, from social media, you can see that fans of rival teams are a little bit rattled by Manchester United at the moment, because I just feel like we are building something up. And the amount of, not trolls, but all the rival fans that are crying about the fact that we got our penalty. That's how you want it to be. You want it to be a little bit of a banter, and we kind of lost that, but now we are building it back up. People are, they are jealous of Manchester United. We're sat top of the tree, but you don't pick a trophy up in January. So I think we need to make sure that we are consistent throughout the rest of this season. But this is it's going to be such a good game. Right now, these are the two best teams in the Premier League. They're sat first and second. There's not much in terms of points. There's 3 points. So it's a huge game. I'm really excited for it.
I am excited. Nervous, but excited as well, definitely. I hope it's going to be entertaining, like I've mentioned. But in terms of entertainment, going forwards, I want to mention Paul Pogba firstly. Does he start tomorrow? Because typically in these games, you've seen Ollie go from McFred, as we like to call it, McTominay and Fred. Yeah. Meg's nodding, but it's a genuine question. Can you, and I'll ask you first, Greg, can you see Pogba starting?
Yeah, I think he has to. I think after the performances that he's been putting in, you need a player like that, because no matter what people think of Paul Pogba, and there is obviously an awfully large amount of people that don't like him for his hair, don't like him for whatever they do. And again, we spoke obviously a few months ago, and we appreciate the fact that performances haven't always been good, and that's a fact for a player of his caliber. Mm-hmm. But he has been playing so well, and rival players, they will fear him. That's a fact. A Paul Pogba that's playing well is one of the best players in the world, and that's a fact. So if he's playing well, as he has been, for me, he has to start. And it's really interesting. And I again, just been listening to different podcasts and different pundits, people talk about it. And it's then about fitting him in the team. And I was listening to some interesting stuff the other day, again about putting him, if we are going for a double pivot and then we're going more of a 4-2-3-1, then you're in a situation where people saying stick him on the left, put Rashford back on the right again. And obviously he had an absolute stinker of a game the other day.
Yeah.
It wasn't particularly good. But it's really interesting that Paul Pogba, obviously playing that well, is being talked about being played in a position where Marcus Rashford, who is obviously absolutely dynamite there, is potentially being now moved across just so you can accommodate somebody of that quality. Now, I'm not sure whether or not I 100% agree with that, because Rashi out on the right for me just doesn't particularly work. But he's playing well. He's a world-class player when he's playing well. And at the moment, he's on a great vein of form. I think he needs to play.
Yeah, I think you are right. Last few games, I mean, I've criticised Pogba in the past, but I'll be honest and say credit where it's due. In the last few games, he's been quality. Obviously, he scored the goal as well against Burnley, and I think he deserves to start. For me, it's just a question of does Ollie trust him enough? And like you say, we can't be affording to accommodate players. He needs to find a role for him. But Meg, we were discussing Pogba the other day, and for me, his best performances this season have been when he's been out on that left a bit more. So he's not playing so deep, he's out on the left a bit more. And I think that's where Paul Pogba has shone a little bit. If Martial isn't fit, for example, do you think that could be the case? Cavani will play centrally and then Pogba maybe play on that left-hand side, Meg?
That's definitely a possibility. I'm not sure whether he will push Pogba all the way to the top, because I do think he battles and he brings a little bit more into the midfield, especially in that three. But I think when you've got somebody that will do that defensive midfield position and hold their discipline in that kind of role and allow Pogba to travel a little bit more forward, so he's not collecting the ball so deep, so he can find those more cutting through the defence passes rather than cutting through a midfield pass. I think that will open up Liverpool a little bit better. But for me, he's got to start. Everyone knows my love for Pogba. I just think the guy is in an insane talent. Okay, he doesn't show up at some points, but he's all round. He's so good with the ball. He makes football look so easy. So for me, he's a definite starter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Rowan in the sense that I think McFred have to start. I think the fact that McTominay and Fred have been used in the big games by Ollie, that's his trusted partnership. Obviously, don't drop Bruno. So it's finding where else Paul Pogba is going to fit in. It might be that he reverts to a diamond, but he needs to somehow fit Paul Pogba in. But I agree, he deserves to start. It's just whether we can find the right slot for him. And another player that people are talking about is Cavani as well. Obviously, he's been banned. He's had it first game back the other night. Didn't have the best game. You mentioned Rashford. I thought Cavani missed a few chances. But it was a tough game. It's a very, very physical game against two big centre-backs who defended really, really well. Burnley, we know what they're like. They're a blocker of a team and they make it tough for you. So I felt for Cavani in that sense. But he's always got a goal in him, hasn't he? And I think for me, I personally would like to see him start. I mean, Greg, what's your thoughts on Cavani?
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what? I like everything about Cavani's game as well. I think you're never not seeing him somewhere on the pitch, trying to get into pockets of space, trying to move around, trying to make himself available. And you're right, a striker of that quality, there is always a goal in him, no matter what. And he's got that experience and he's got that knowledge and he knows where to be at all the right times. I think that's probably been a bit of an issue that we've had for the last couple of years now, of just not having an out-and-out nine, if you like, who's really just finding those positions where he needs to be all the time. I like, again, with Martial, and there's always a bit of an issue. I think he often thrives when he's cutting in and running at players rather than being up there on his own. And again, against a team like Liverpool as well, what you're going to get from Cavani is the fact that he's going to be tracking back a bit as well. He's actually going to be hassling people constantly and finding, those key positions. So I would like to see him start. And look, if Martial's injured as well, I mean, it must be the situation that he's playing. I can't see any other situation. Although I do like the idea of him also coming off the bench as well, because I think, again, he really, really sort of challenges and upsets people. So, yeah, I think he'll play. I think he should play. And I think it'll be if he's on the pitch.
I agree. It's just a handful, isn't it? You say his work rate, he always tracks back. But also his movement, like you said, that experience is so clever. Like, you can't rest on your laurels. And Liverpool aren't going to probably have their strongest centre-backs, are they? Obviously, we know Van Dijk's out, but they're going to be playing probably two midfielders in Henderson and Fabinho at centre-back. So if I'm Cavani, I'm thinking I want to exploit that. I'm going to be licking my lips at the prospect of playing against two players who aren't experienced playing the centre backs, and he's such a clever player, Meg. Does he have to start for you as well?
Yeah, I think he definitely has to. He brings a little bit more dynamic up front. He can hold the ball up. He can feed other players in and around him. But he's also got that little 5-yard movement where he creates his own little bit of space, especially in the box. We've seen it before in some of the goals, that he can start next to a player, but just has that awareness to find or to drop 5 yards and then go into a different pocket of space. And I use the word pockets because there's not going to be a lot of space. But he just manages to create an opening for himself. And I've said it time and time again, he knows where the net is. It's like an instinct for him. So I think when you play against Liverpool, you need to be taking chances, and that's somebody who I think will take them.
Yeah, and another player who's took his chance, to be fair, is Eric Boye. We've got to talk about Eric Boye, the legend Eric Boye. I mean, Greg, United fans love him, of course. He's got to start, surely.
Yeah, I fear he's not going to, though. I don't know. I've got a horrible feeling if Lindelof's healthy, it'll play him, and I think that could. This is the only thing at times at the moment which I think with Ollie I sort of worry a little bit. There's like a level of he obviously clearly has a level of understanding with certain players that when they're healthy they seem to always get in, and I feel like against an attacking team like Liverpool, Boye's going to be the man who's actually going to have that pace. He's going to actually be able to work with Maguire as we've seen he can, and he'll throw his body on the line. Even if Dean Henderson's smacking him in the head, like he's getting in the way, he's getting where he needs to be. And for me, he has to start. I just fear he's not going to start, and that would be a massive issue, to be totally honest. But he's been wonderful, and I mean, look, if we look back probably 2 years or so, we were all thinking that as long as he can stay healthy, that he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be the one. He hasn't been healthy. That's been his major issue. And probably by the start of this season, talking about getting rid of him and moving on to somebody else. It's amazing how things can change. He is definitely a cult hero. And the way he plays is what we love to see, throwing his body on the line. The problem with that is he's sort of made of tissue paper half the time. So you fear that by doing that, he will hurt himself. But for me, he's played outstanding. He should be sitting there. And he will be that one that if somebody gets on the break, he's going to be able to track back quick enough and do something. And for me, I want him to start. He needs to start.
I mean, to be fair, we kept to a clean sheet as well again the other night. Again, against a tough team, like I say, who tested us physically at times. Boye made some crucial blocks yet again. Like, you'd have to say on form, he's earned the right to start. I mean, Meg, I know you're a massive Boye fan. The way that he transforms us defensively, like Maguire looks so much more comfortable, doesn't he, when he's got Boye alongside him?
He does, but the only thing I can think of is that he can be a little bit rash sometimes, and that tends to work in his favour. He does put, like Greg said, puts his body on the line, and we've seen it. He's made some last-ditch blocks, some tackles. But I do think Liverpool's front three can be very clever, and if he's too rash and too quick into a challenge, I don't want him to get done, and we're then left with no one behind him. So I want to see him start, definitely, but I just think he needs to be a little bit more controlled at times rather than just go all out, especially against three very good players in Liverpool's front three. So, but that bit, like as I said, he might push us up further up the pitch as well. You've got that Lindelof Maguire, and we know that it's very slow, but if you've got someone like Boye there who can bring us out a little bit more, who can push us forward, I think it'll mean that we'll have a bit more of a go at them rather than just that reluctancy, and we'll just sit back and secure it up.
Yeah, because obviously when it's Maguire and Lindelof, he's scared of the ball over the top. When it's Boye in there, he's more assured. Like, for a fact that his pace can get you out of trouble, and I think that the defence sense that as well. You can see across the back line, we're just far more assured. And the clean sheet the other night, it proves that for me is the partnership that we need to be looking at. But like you've already mentioned, we need to keep Boye fit, and that is a big part of us. Yes, top of the league now, but I think keeping Boye fit, Bruno fit, keeping these big players fit is what determines whether we're going to stay there or not. And they're just so crucial to us. And I worry about Boye massively because of the way that he plays as well. A player that also could start and has started in big games is Dan James. Obviously, if Martial is injured, it could be a case where Dan James starts on the right, Cavani centrally, and then Rashford out left, which we prefer to see him on. I mean, Greg, what's your thoughts on Dan James? John from the United Way has asked what's your thoughts in general on him?
I think often Dan James just lacks that little bit of quality that is needed from a player in United's team, especially when they're starting. He's clearly quick. I mean, he's a fast player and he can move around. I think he gets found out very, very quickly that often he's very good at running in a straight line with the ball. And then as soon as he's in a situation where he's got to try and get out of it, often that's when he gets stuck and he gets caught out. And he doesn't quite have that level of creativity. And again, I mentioned, didn't I? I sort of said that Rashford didn't play well on the right, but he still got an assist, obviously, the other day as well.
Yeah.
And for me, if it was between the two of them, and if we were talking about, because he is obviously going to play this double pivot, so it's if he's going to fit Pogba, he's probably going to go on the left. Then Rashford will probably be on the right. If it's not Dan James, I would choose Rashford over Dan James. I like him. And again, there's something raw about him where you think if he learnt a few more key elements, he could be a very good player. I just fear it's not quite there yet. And again, in a game like this, we can't risk missing opportunities or losing the ball too much. And I fear that's what could happen. But again, somebody with such raw pace, if he can pick up certain other aspects of other people's games, it would be fantastic. I just don't think this is the game for him.
I think on the break, you mentioned obviously his pace. Like, he is absolutely rapid, and on the attack, it can be a big bonus. But I think he needs to improve that final ball, doesn't he? He gets into great positions, but the end product just hasn't been good enough. And I'd agree with that. Would I start him personally? No. But I could see why Ollie might think it, because, like you say, the pace on the attack, and it does cause problems. We saw it against Man City. Was it last season in the build-up to the Martial goal where Dan James had that great breakaway? Like, he has got that in his game. It's just that end product. But again, I think a lot of it is confidence as well. Not having that run of games, people getting on his back, not hitting the back of the net. I just think that he seems a confidence player to me, Meg. Does it strike you that way as well, that he seems a bit low at the minute?
I don't know whether it's just confidence or whether he just needs some more minutes. And I just don't feel like he's going to get that at Manchester United right now. I fully thought that he perhaps would go out on loan for the rest of this till the end of the season, just so you can play a bit more football, because I just feel like you can train all you want, but actually being in a game is such a completely different setting that you need to be playing in a game where there's a prize at the end of it, not just in training. And I think for him, it would do him so much better if he could just go and get some minutes. And that would then build in the confidence. But I think you can't keep saying, "Oh, you need to be in confidence," and then perhaps saying, "Right, well, we're going to put you in for the Liverpool game now. Start you in our biggest game of this season." Or if it doesn't go so right and he's on the bench, and we'll say, "Oh, and on 80 minutes, we're going to bring you on. Go and do something." And I think that's a really difficult position to be in, and it's probably not a very nice position to be in for confidence, because you think, "Oh my Lord, I'm about to start the biggest game of Manchester United season and I haven't played for X amount of games." Or at 80 minutes you think, "Oh my God, I've got to come on and do something. And if I don't do something, I've not done my task for the day." But like Greg said, I actually think that he has this, like, he's young, he's got raw talent, and he's got pace, but he just needs to do that decision making at the very end needs to be better. Like I said, the other week when he played, he made 3 crosses and not once did he pick his head up to have actually a look in the box, because if he had looked in the box, he wouldn't have chosen the cross that he decided to make. But again, comes with minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a confidence thing, but at the same time, I think a loan would be good for him, because the only way he's going to get better is by having that experience of playing, and he's obviously not getting that at United at the minute. I've seen a lot of United fans saying get rid of him, as a flop. I don't necessarily think that. I think he just needs some experience, and I think a loan would be good for him. I'm not saying send him right now, but I think him getting them games would be beneficial for him and us as a club. So I think that's the right thing to do. Would I send him to Leeds? Probably not, but I think a loan would be good, definitely. I'm Blue says Lindelof played against PSG, and they have fast players like Mbappe and Neymar. Firstly, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. And my response to that is Tuanzebe also played in that game. Another fast centre back. Young, promising, and he's a player for me who surely not too far away him breaking into the started 11, because he's a player who does take his chances when he plays, and he's just got all the right attributes, hasn't he, Greg?
He has, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw that when anybody watching him when he was on loan the previous year, like, he was fantastic, and he was an absolute key man at Villa, and it's something that he obviously hasn't quite had the opportunity while he's been back. But completely, again, we talk about wanting a fast centre back and somebody that can move around well and has a lot of the key attributes. He's absolutely got it. Again, I think that this is the problem for him, is that he's obviously not getting as many minutes as he would probably like, and probably often that we would like to see him get. And when he does get his chance, you hit the nail on the head there. He generally takes it. I think he's had one bad game, and then again, people got on his back again. And this is part of the problem, isn't it? I think we discuss any player and every player that we discuss. We sort of look at what ends up happening. And I think we have to be careful as well, because probably a lot of players nowadays are on social media. And from somebody who went through a professional sporting career when social media became quite big, it's very difficult at times to not read the odd little comment. And you only ever remember the bad comment. You might have 100 good ones. You only ever remember the bad one. So people are very quick to dismiss a number of players. I think actually interesting, I want to bring this up as well about all that, because the other day we were talking on Twitter about the match, and we were talking about the fact that we'd won and it was positive and we're top of the league, whatever else. And there was somebody there that sent us a tweet. I didn't respond to it. I've stopped replying to real negative people all the time.
I ignore them too.
I know, it just gets really frustrating. But somebody sent up there, and because they were talking about the fact that Ollie was quite happy that we've gone out and won. And again, against Burnley, it's a difficult side to play, a big side and a physical side. It's a game that we'd normally drop points playing. We then come away winning it, and all of a sudden somebody's posting up a video of Alex Ferguson, while he's still the Aberdeen manager, having a go at the players, and they're turning around and saying, this is what a manager should be like. It's utter rubbish. I'm sorry. Like people's short-term views on how people should be because they don't like a certain way somebody smiles, whatever else, drives me absolutely crazy on social media. And we're talking about an incident because they probably haven't done any form of history or reading into this anyway. It's an incident where Aberdeen had already been incredibly successful. They'd won the game. He got really upset with them at the end of the game for not playing well, then completely and utterly backtracked afterwards in interviews, sort of took everything back. We need to be very careful about how much we are getting on. I know I've realised I've gone off topic a little bit slightly here.
No, it's cool. It's interesting.
I think it's very important nowadays. We're in a situation where anybody can have an opinion and everybody can see that opinion. Whereas previously you had to earn to have that right to have the opinion. So it would have been pundits, other people who are in a higher position, or people that talk about it, which right or wrong, but we have to be very, very careful with it. But anyway, so I'll go back. Yes, played very well. Yes, I'm very happy to and keen to see his development. And hopefully, again, he'll get a stronger run of games. But look, we're also talking about a position where there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of talk about a new player being brought in at some point. Who that's going to be, obviously, we don't know yet. But again, does that mean that someone like Axel needs to go off and go on loan again? If they bring in another centre-back, that's going to be an interesting conversation to have by the end of the summer, because if it does happen, obviously nothing's going to happen in January, but if something did happen in the summer again, that's going to be really interesting, because he's clearly a really talented player.
Yeah, I'd be gutted if we lost him, to be honest with you. I'd gutted to let him go, because he's got all the right attributes, and I feel like he's one of them that if we did get rid of him, we'd regret it massively. Like you say, when he was Villa fans did not want to let him come back to United. They absolutely adored him. Like he's such a good player, and he's still so young as well, but so powerful. He's just got everything, and I just hope that we keep hold of him. And like I say, he can't be far from the starting 11 from what we've seen of him. Like he's just so talented, and I'm just hoping that he does get that breakthrough at some point. I'm Blue says, why do people seem to underrate Lindelof so much when he and Maguire got us to third place last season, and he and Maguire had one goal each this season? For me, Lindelof is a good defender when the ball's on the floor, but physically, like for example against Burnley the other night, I think he would have really struggled. And I think like that's why European football, and I've said this a lot about Lindelof, I think on the ball he's very good. He's composed, he reads the game well. But physically, I think sometimes he can be a bit vulnerable, and I don't know if you two agree on that one. I'll start with you, Meg, on this one as a centre-back. What's your thoughts on Lindelof? He's a good general defender. I just worry about him against certain strikers.
Yeah, definitely. There was obviously a time where he was the Iceman, wasn't he? He was so...
Yeah.
He just seemed to be able to bring the ball down, and he'd do things where your heart would stop, but he'd be able to do it, and he'd get past the oncoming striker. But my probably issue is that he and Maguire, I would probably put under the same category in terms of what they are like as a player. Whereas when you bring in Boye, I think he's just got that little bit of a different style that all out, let's go for it style, a bit wild. And I think therefore it kind of complements the other centre half. So I would probably see like him and Boye and Lindelof together, whereas I see Boye and Maguire together. Whereas I think when you got Lindelof and Maguire together, they're very similar. So therefore, I'm not saying that Lindelof underrated, but I just think because the two of them are together, it doesn't quite balance. It doesn't quite add up.
Yeah, like Boye and Maguire feels more natural. They complement each other, don't they? And that's what I mean. Yeah. Like Boye being in there, everybody seems more assured. Maguire in particular. I mean, what's your thoughts on Lindelof, Greg? Do you think him and Maguire is a better partnership?
No, I agree with Meg entirely. I think, again, it's that summed up perfectly, actually. They're just very similar as players. And I think the one thing they both lack is having the natural pace in order to... So I just made that comment as I was saying that then. Yeah. that is an issue. When you're in a situation when both the players aren't naturally gifted with a lot of pace, and you're playing in a league which is incredibly fast with some super talented players. And often as well, you've got to remember what teams are going to do against United. They're going to sit back. They're just going to try to absorb anything that we've got and then try and counter themselves. So if you're playing two players similar ilk which don't actually have pace, you're in a situation where it's going to hurt you, as we've seen multiple times. And it's all well and good saying, obviously, we got to where we got last season and everything else. I think that's been found out. Look, players and managers aren't stupid. They'll start seeing key issues within any section of the pitch that you're lacking in, and they'll exploit that. And the fact that we're conceding more goals this year, I think that shows that people are developing and changing. So as a club, we have to do exactly the same. The players have to do the same. And with Boye, we've got situation where he completely and utterly you stick a round peg into a round hole at that point, because we need the pace. We need somebody who's going to throw themselves around. We're not just trying to shoehorn anybody and everybody into a position just because that's what we've got. So there's no disrespect to Lindelof. I think he can be absolutely fantastic at times, but exactly what Meg said, the same player playing for a position that fundamentally we need something else in. Yeah,
spot on. I agree. And Lindelof, I think, no disrespect at all. I just think that Boye suits us better. Right now, in this moment in time, Boye and Maguire just suits better. But it's nothing against Lindelof. And I'm sure Lindelof will still play plenty of games as well, because we need to rotate. We need to protect Eric Boye at all costs, don't we? So I'm sure he'll still get time. But tomorrow, for me, Eric Boye does have to start. I'm just hoping he does. But we're going to look, firstly, at a bit of a combined 11 between us. So I'll obviously go through the positions and we'll give a vote as to who we think should be there. And we're going to base this on players who are fit right now. So players that are up for selection for tomorrow's game. Firstly, in goal, I'll be interested to see if this is unanimous. But for me, I have to say it has to be Alisson. It kills me to say that.
It's so painful.
Alisson, thank you. When I was trying to think of them earlier, I just didn't want to put any Liverpool players in. I'd even put Phil Jones in if I had to, but I couldn't. I had to, obviously, be fair. But yeah, Alisson in goal. And you both agreed on that one?
I agree.
Yeah, annoyingly, although if we could just sort of teleport David De Gea from a few years ago, then without question, David gets back in the team. But yeah, and it is painful to say. When you were saying we were going to obviously do this, I was like, oh, I just want to be a bit of an arse and just not put any in. But no, I can't be that person. I will be semi-neutral in that way, and then we have to concede straight away. Yeah, goalkeeper-wise, I think that makes sense.
I do think that David De Gea has found some form of recent, and I think he kind of dips out, and we know that a lot of Manchester United fans, we were crying for Dean Henderson to come back at the end of last season. But I actually think that he's picked his overall performance back up again. And come the end of the season, I think this would be a great conversation to have about who makes the goalkeeper of the year. Because if he is playing like he is at the moment, I think he is doing really well. But over the past 18 months, 2 years, I think Alisson has definitely excelled overall.
Yeah, I'm going to have to wash my mouth out, I think, after we finish this team, honestly. Killing me to say it. But right back, I'll start with you, Greg. Who are you going for at right back? Because there's a big argument about Wan-Bissaka, Trent. Obviously, Trent's got it going forward. Wan-Bissaka defensively solid. It's a tough one, this one. I guess it depends whether you want an attacking or a defensive right back.
And this is exactly it. And this was where straight away in my head I was like, oh, this is genuinely a really difficult one. If you could somehow put them together and create a baby from the pair of them, then you've got the ultimate player. Like, I mean, we're talking, I mean, like perfect in every way, shape, or form. But I don't know. And do you know what? There's actually something about this weekend that's going to be really quite interesting. If Pogba is pulling people all over the place and Bruno as well, then we might see a situation where, I don't know, that could really open up a situation where you would want someone like Wan-Bissaka in there because he's going to be so good defensively. And this is so hard as well because your loyalty is so strong.
I know.
And again, in this situation, people are just going to be going, come on, mate. But it's so dependent on who you're playing as well. This is the thing. Like, if you're absorbing so much, of course you want to put Wan-Bissaka in there. But if you want to go forward,
here's a tough question, this one.
I don't want to. The thing is, I don't want to stick 2 Liverpool players in off the bat. Like that really hurts me. Give me a hand. What are you two saying? Like that's.
Do you know what? I'm going to make it really difficult because I know what Sophie's put, and actually, I originally put the same, but I'm sat here thinking I'm changing my mind. So you're going for Trent, Soph?
Sadly, yes. I'm glad I didn't even have to say that. Yeah.
I originally went for Trent. However, I'm going to put Wan-Bissaka in, and I'm going to make it even more difficult. Not one of each now. I'm going to go. Do you know what? Someone put a comment. And I don't know who it was. I need to flip back to the
comment. I agree with Doug here. This is why I was torn because we're going on currently, yeah? Trent hasn't had a good season so far.
That's true.
But then again, Wan-Bissaka's cost us a few goals as well with poor headers at the back post or switching off, and going forwards is so frustrating.
Yeah.
So you'd say Wan-Bissaka's had a better season. That's what I mean. Like right now, you'd say he's had a better season.
Wan-Bissaka, 1-versus-1, pockets the other player.
Oh, absolutely.
If there was a striker going through and you've got Wan-Bissaka or Trent that you've got to choose one of them to go run off back and tackle, all day you are choosing Wan-Bissaka, and I just don't want to lose that element from my team. And as much as I like going forward, I'm going for Wan-Bissaka.
The problem is as well, it completely depends on the system that you're playing, because this is the problem, isn't it? Because if you're just looking for a traditional right back who's going to do what Wan-Bissaka does and will pocket anybody coming down, and is going to put in those key tackles, etc., then of course you want to go for him. But if you're looking for an attacking fullback, then we have an issue. This is the problem, and this is what probably one of the most difficult positions out of the two of them to pick.
The only thing that swayed me, sorry, Greg. The only thing that swayed me, I was going to say, is the fact that Wan-Bissaka going forwards, and I've said it a few times, it's almost like he's running on stilts sometimes. Like the ball's completely out of control. Like he looks so unnatural going forwards. And I just wish he had that part in his game because he gets in so many good positions. And I kind of feel like we don't have an outlet on that right-hand side when Wan-Bissaka's out there going forwards. And that's one thing that really frustrates me. Whereas obviously Trent, we know he whips in a great ball. I think I just imagine Cavani getting on the end of some of those deliveries. And that's why I put him in there. But it's so tough. And I hated the fact that I went with Trent. Yeah,
so I think just to settle this once and for all, I'm going to go for their baby. And the baby that we created, 2 of them. And that's not me being a cop-out in any way, shape or form, because that is the perfect footballer right there.
I agree. So we're going with Trent Wan-Bissaka, yeah? That's agreed.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm blue, so are we going to ignore all the mistakes Maguire makes just because he's English? Maguire is bigger and stronger, but that doesn't seem to have helped him a lot this season. I'm blue, thank you for the contribution. I really appreciate it. I think we're just being honest at what we think Ollie will choose, and if we're being realistic, Maguire is never being dropped. Like Maguire he's the first name on the team sheet. He's the skipper, and for me, I thought he played really well the other night against Burnley.
Yeah, I think we again, what we have to look. Players are good at certain things. We've just had a conversation about a player who's our current right back who can't do a certain thing well, and I think that is a prime example of showing that we need somebody different next to Maguire and someone like Eric Boye, because otherwise they're going to make too many mistakes. And we touched on it before, didn't we? It's a situation where he's making these mistakes because he's a bit shaky, because he's not sure what's going on next to him, and he's thinking, God, if they do break in us, then we're in trouble here. So I'm going to be a bit sort of cagey with what I do. So I think we are in a situation, and I think as well, like, this isn't just us as fans. I think the club probably itself knows this as well, that currently the squad isn't there yet. It's not quite where everybody would like to see it. And that's clearly a situation and a position where we're not sure. And I think if Eric Boye can stay fit, then what we'll see is a Maguire who can really thrive, because he can be the player he really should be. But currently, I think he gets made to look even worse because, as we said, it's two of the same player trying to do something that they can't do.
And there has been times, like, of course, there has, where Maguire's made a mistake, and I feel like, I don't know, certain pundits haven't said anything. It might be to do with the fact that he's English. I don't know. I can't speak for those people. But I think if you're being brutally honest, like Maguire, like I say, he played really well the other day against Burnley. Since Boye has come into the side, he's been much improved. It was really unlucky not to score, by the way. I just want to add that in there. How was that not giving us a goal? That was perfect header he could have done as well. I was gutted for him. Like, that goal would have been massive for him. But even so, I still think he had a really good performance. And so for me, regardless of anything else, he deserves to start tomorrow alongside Boye. That would be my choice. Thank you to the highlight for the super sticker. Sorry, Greg.
That's all right. I was going to say, I think the problem is as well, and fans get really caught up on this as well. And look, I get it to a certain degree, but also I find it a bit frustrating. The fact that obviously he had a very large transfer fee is part of the issue. Yes, it was a world record fee and whatever else. Look, fundamentally, you are worth what a club will pay for you. And Man United at the time, who are a very wealthy club, needed a player who wasn't going to be released for anything less than obviously what they paid for him. And be that's incompetency from members of the board or whatever else, whatever, by the by, that is what it is. Mm-hmm. The problem is that doesn't change who the player is or take away any of their good or bad attributes. That's just what was paid for them. And it's at the end of the day as well, it's not the fans' money as such. If the club felt that that's what they had to pay at the time, you can't then add extra pressure on that player. Because fundamentally as well, if we're then saying, well, Neymar cost a couple of $100 million, there's players out there that you would then say, okay, well, of course they're then worth $100 million, aren't they? And we're in a situation where money shouldn't be the thing that people dwell on to say the player is good or not, because we've seen over the years it doesn't quite work like that. So I think that as well causes more issues. And listen, I call him out. If you read some of the tweets at some time, I mean, like, I will give him stick. I'll probably give him stick if he messes up or something happens. And I think that's right. But equally, you have to accept as well, a player playing out of position, etc. These issues are going to come up. Yeah, I completely
agree. Sorry. Yeah, I'll get you. And also, there's still human beings at the end of the day. I think there's a fine line, isn't there, between criticising a performance and then borderline abuse. I think like there's definitely a line between it, and some people fail to see that. And it goes back to, again, like Twitter and stuff like that. It's just a license just to say what you want and have no backlash from it, isn't it? And some of the stuff that is said is harsh, but the price tag, that kind of comes with it, unfortunately. You saw the same with Paul Pogba as well, because we signed him for such a huge fee. A lot of added pressure on him, unfortunately. But we'll move on to centre-backs. I'll start this one if you want to. Eric Boye makes it in there for me. And you know what? I'm going to go with Harry Maguire. I'm going to defend him. And I'm putting Boye and Maguire as my centre-backs. Greg, what would be your two?
Yeah, I'm going exactly the same as well. And again, we mentioned if Van Dijk obviously can't be in there, and Liverpool are fundamentally generally playing midfielders at the moment. Absolutely. Like that's not up for debate. They are ended it. I'm not going to talk about babies this time or players making babies. Yeah, well, maybe might have a different view. I don't know, but for me, I would say that works.
Meg, what's your thought?
I'm making it a full house. I've gone for Boye Maguire for exactly the same reasons. We're I was going to say that the whole Maguire topic has leaded on really nicely, because I've stuck him right in there. Obviously, I would, being Maguire gang and all that. But no, they are two centre backs rather than midfielders pretending to be centre backs, which at the moment Liverpool are doing. So for me, those two.
Yeah, I'd agree. Obviously, Jack mentioned it there. Fabinho's not a centre-back, but he can be one temporarily. I'd agree, but I'd put him into the midfielder category still anyway. The midfield's going to be interesting.
Scott McTominay can play centre-back, can't he? I mean, I wouldn't pick Scott McTominay. I mean, look, I'm not trying to say Fabinho and Scott McTominay are the same. I think Fabinho is a fantastic player, and I always regretted that we never went for him. But, Yeah, I think again we have to look at that's their position, that's what they play, that's what they're very good at. So makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Left back then, again an interesting one, because obviously Robertson is the player that most people would think goes straight in there. I think Luke Shaw's played fairly well. I don't think Tellers has done enough yet to break it, so it's between Shaw and Robertson. If we're honest, I mean, Meg, I'll let you start this one off. Who are you going to pick at left back?
I'm actually going to go for Robertson. I think his all-round play is fantastic. He delivers the ball so well and creates so many goals for Liverpool. And I think Liverpool heavily rely on their fullbacks to create some of the goals as well. So for me, Robertson gets put straight in. But not saying that Shaw, I completely agree with the whole Shaw has got a lot better, but Robertson is in a completely, probably a different level to Shaw and Tellez right now.
Yeah, I think Tellez could break into that, but right now he hasn't done enough. I mean, Greg, are you saying Robertson as well?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think in that position, I mean, look, fundamentally, Shaw has been playing better, definitely, but they're different. He's not on that level. I'm sorry. And look, we've been crying out for another left back for so long. We've got one in Tellez now. We'll sort of see how he develops. Let's hope that he really does sort of come into his own, and we can see this fantastic player that we're desperate for. But look, even on current form, it can't be Shaw, I'm afraid. So we'll have to stick a Liverpool player in there.
Are you sure? So I did that now.
I know
it's
very difficult, but no, he's there. He's definitely there.
Yeah, he has to be Robertson for me. It's like Doug said, he's probably been their best player this season. He's just so consistent, offers so much going forward, defensively really good as well. He's just a quality player, and I'm so gutted about that because I remember watching him at Hull and saying this is a really good player. Like he stood out even then, and I'm gutted that we didn't approach him when he was back at Hull. But these things happen. But yeah, I think Robertson has to get that left back role. Now this is an interesting one. Midfield, what are we saying? Should we go with 3 midfielders? So it's 1 deep and then 2 just in front. Shall we do that formation?
That's what I've gone for.
Yep, cool. So who's going to make your CDM then? This is a tough one. Greg, I'll let you start on this one.
I'm going to go with Fabinho.
Yeah,
he's
in my team.
Look, he's just a good football player, and he can fill it. And again, he's good defensively, obviously, and that for me, I would love United to have a player who could really dominate that position, because I'm not sure we still have that. I think that's something that we really need. So for me, I would love Pogba times 3. So I just saw that as well. Imagine that. 3 Pogba. That'd be unbelievable.
We spoke about babies of players, and now we're talking about multiples of players. We're doing everything we can not to use Liverpool.
They're in triplets here.
So if we're going all 3, I'm sticking Bruno and Pogba in there, of course, as well.
Good man.
See, my midfield is still up for grabs. Like I literally haven't decided. Fabinho's made it, but then they've obviously got Henderson, who has been. I hate to say it, but he's been quality, and he's literally like the heartbeat for Liverpool. Like he's been so consistent and quality for them, and he's their leader, isn't he? But obviously you've got Pogba. Bruno has to be in there as well.
You've got Maguire sitting behind him, so you've got our leader instead. It's fine, doesn't matter. You don't need a.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean.
And you got Bruno as well. Come on.
Yeah. Meg, have you got in your team?
I feel like Manchester United have actually got like an abundance of centre defensive midfielders. Like we've got the Fred plays there, McTominay, Matic will play in there as well. But I actually think Fabinho tops those 3 completely. I think he's really secure. He can be really secure in that role. And I'm going to just name mine because it's exactly the same as Greg's. I've gone for Pogba and Bruno with Henderson on the bench. He's like my first sub.
Yeah, perfect.
See, I'm going to go against the grain here. I don't think Pogba makes it yet.
Oh, really? I thought we were going for current form as well, though.
I know. Yeah, true. To be fair, and he scored the other day. Yeah, on current form. Yeah, overall, I'll probably say no. I think Henderson would pick it. I think Wijnaldum, to be fair, would be with him with a shout.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to go with you. I'm going what you two said. I'm going Bruno and Pogba. I've already said too many Liverpool players.
Don't feel into doing it. You be you.
Oh, the pressure now, Soph.
I mean, you guys in the chat ganging up on me. I want to, yeah, no, I want to joke. Yeah, Bruno and Pogba. I think. So I've got Fabinho, Bruno, Pogba. What was your three, Meg?
I've gone for Fabinho, Pogba, and Bruno, but a lot of people, and I forgot to mention him actually, and I cannot believe I forgot to mention him, is Thiago, because he is an incredible player.
Yes, I think
for me, I haven't seen enough of him in the Premier League yet. That's the only thing. That if we're doing it on like current, which I have done it on, that for me, I just think that I've not seen enough of him to be in the team, but I think he's a fabulous player for Liverpool, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think the big point is that I'll keep even forgetting it myself is we focus on current form right now. There's obviously a lot of players who are injured and whatnot who would probably use to get into this team, Van Dijk, for example, but we focus on now. And like Ronaldo, for example, has had a good season so far, so he wouldn't get in there. So I'm sticking with that. That's my free. I'm sticking with that. But front three then. I mean, this is tough again because you're gonna have to miss either a key Liverpool or a key United player out. You're gonna have to. There's no choice here. So we'll start on the right hand side. Make who have you gone for there?
See, I was hoping you were gonna go left. If you went left, I was like, "Is this fine?" Okay, like I'm nailing my colours to the mast. I know what I'm going here. On the I
don't know where my three would play, but I've named three players.
Yeah, see, that's part of the issue, and this is part of the issue that I've been having while I've been thinking about it. It's like I feel like there's certain players that you cannot leave out of it. But again, you're sort of going, just let them roam. Let them. Let's let the front three do what they like.
Just go out and play. You're that good.
Free roll.
Figure it out.
Score some goals. You'll be fine. So yeah, who did you guys go for the right then?
Well, like I said, mine is very much on you go. If I was a manager, I'd be like, there's three of you. Decide yourself. Pick it out of a hat if you need to be, but there's three of you, and I've got three players.
So this was actually said my front three, so I'll put this on the screen. This was my front three. Maybe I'd put Rashie centrally, but other than that would be my three.
That's the exact same three that I've got.
What was that? Sorry, Greg.
I said, were you saying Salah, Mane and Rashford as well?
Yeah.
See, that's where my head was going, but I was just trying to think who can I stick in there? Because again, trying to think current form again. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Can we stick anybody? I mean, they've got to be the three names that jump out at you. Really,
the only one who you could probably say is Cavani. Maybe he.
But this is what I'm trying to think. That is there a way of who do you take out of that to stick Cavani in? Like that's your problem, isn't it? That's difficult. You're going to offend a lot of people if you pulled any one of those three out. I think maybe then Cavani just becomes that super sub again.
And someone's like Greenwood on the bench as well. We come up with a suspension.
Imagine putting those two teams together for real as well. I mean, imagine that. What a squad. It'd be disgraceful, wouldn't it?
That would be a managerial headache because I said I'm
trying to keep them happy.
What I would not know. Cavani is a really good shout. I've literally we've been sat here and saying Cavani must play tomorrow, and yet in the combined I've not put him in. But I do. Salah, I think, and Mane and Rashford are very similar. So I think if you were going to put somebody in there, a player like Cavani, if you were going to do a combined, would be a really good choice. But I think those three that we've named, I think Mane and Salah tomorrow, our defenders need to be on point because I think them pair are just a handful. They are so creative and so talented. Two really, really talented players. But I think for me as well, Rashford has to be in that three.
Yeah, I think Rashford deserves to be in that three, to be honest with you. And a lot of people don't rate Rashford for whatever reason. But I mean, even if he didn't play well, but he still bagged an assist, and that's what Rashford does. Like, even when he doesn't play well, he has some kind of influence on the game. And that's just what he brings to the locker. And it's just frustrating because you think he could bring so much more. But I'm sure his time will come. I really am. But like you say, he doesn't play well on the right. That doesn't suit him. He needs to be more of the left. But yeah, I think Rashford deserves to be in there. Right, we're going to look forward to tomorrow then. That was interesting actually, that combined 11, because the defence, we kind of differed in opinion with the fullback. But other than that, it was pretty unanimous. So that was quite good. Thanks to everyone in the chat who got involved to help us out as well, because we were on the fence quite a few times then, but we managed to get off the fence. Apart from the baby fullback, we managed to do it.
Well, I mean, just out there, I'm looking forward to 20 years' time and seeing that baby play, because I mean, Well,
It's true. Yeah, like really long legs, but then be able to whip a perfect ball in. Yeah, mad. Someone trying to picture a Wan-Bissaka Trent baby in my head now. Like I'd be just going, we need to move on from this. But tomorrow, Greg, in all honesty, how confident are you feeling?
Yeah, it is difficult. We talked about it at the beginning, didn't we? Look, there's some nerves in there. There's some excitement and everything else. I think this team genuinely. I mean, what was the last time we won? What was it? 2015 was 2-1 win. Was it last time we beat Liverpool?
I think it was. Yeah.
So it's very much overdue. I mean, like very much. And I just feel like at the moment, like we also touched on this earlier as well, talking about fans being rattled at the moment, but we're also seeing managers that are clearly rattled as well. With Jurgen's clearly not a happy place. Jose's not happy either. And that's so much like how it used to be. And it's so wonderful to see. It's just, we just need a Kevin Keegan with some big headphones on, losing it, absolutely going mental.
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Oh, I'd love it. But we're sort of heading back in that direction. Look, we're not there yet, of course. And look, after the Burnley win as well, it was to talk about, look, Man United fans, we can get excited for the next 3-4 days as it has been. And I think we can. We're in a great position. I think Liverpool are going to be they're going to feel a lot more of that fear that they had before, because they know they need to win to go back to the top of the pile. They want to try and stamp their authority and say, look, no, we're still the best team in the country. And I think United have a great opportunity to come away with a really special win, and it would be an incredibly special win. So I'm quietly confident. Well, that's not very quiet, just broadcasting it here. I think key players will show up tomorrow, and we'll have a situation where we're all very, very happy. That's what I'm saying.
I hope so. Greg, you're welcome to join us straight after the game tomorrow. Me and Meg are live. I'm hoping we're going to be smiling like you say. But yeah, I'm going to ask you in a minute what your score predictions are. I'm going to ask the chat as well. Get involved. What are your score predictions? But before we do that, I think we should briefly get through what we think the starting lineup will look like. So De Gea in goal, yeah, and then I was thinking Wan-Bissaka. For me, Boye, Maguire, Shaw. Even not sure, then I think Telles comes into that. Would you agree with that as a back four? So, am I going well so far?
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I can't see him not playing Shaw, to be totally honest, as well. I think Luke's gonna be playing tomorrow. I think you feel confident with him.
Bro, Luke Shaw's been playing well, to be fair. And then I think he'll go with McTominay and Fred as the holding midfielders. Do you two see any difference that happening?
No, that's what he's been doing.
I still see Pogba in there. I think Ollie will go for it.
So from that point, Meg, I'll leave it there. So we've got McTominay, Fred. You tell me what you think the rest of it will be then. How's Pogba getting into that?
Yeah, but I'm not playing McTominay.
Okay, so what would your midfield be?
I'm just playing a Fred, Pogba, Bruno.
Okay.
I think they will. We sat too defensively at Man City, and I think we were quite nervous about it. So I just think it will go for a little bit more, and I think we'll just have a little bit more of a go at, like, lose one of the CDMs and just bring us up a little bit more up the pitch.
I think every United fan would love to see that as well. And from the point of view of, if you saw that team sheet and that was what he was going for, you'd be like, he wants it. They're going to go at it. They're here to score goals, and that's what we'd be really excited to see. I just fear that he's not, and maybe me and Yusuf, we're sort of looking at it from the point of view of what he has done for big games, how he's been sort of getting.
Greg's gone, vanished. You back?
Had you lost me for a second then? Am I back?
You're back. It's cool.
I'm back. Good.
Yeah,
I was just saying, I think we were looking at it from the point of view of this is what he has been going for. This is what he's been doing with Fred and McTominay. So, look, I would love him to do that and stick Pogba in that position, let him run forward and maybe sit Fred just really clearing up everything in that CDM position. I fear he won't, and it will be as we stated. So that's we're slightly loggerheads there.
I think this made me laugh, by the way. I will eat my own legs if he doesn't play McFred. Yeah, that's what I just think he trusts that. He trusts that, doesn't he? Trust them two in the holding within big games. But I agree.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. That like makes sense. Pogba playing. I think he deserves to play. It's just trying to accommodate him. That, and I just doesn't he trust McTominay and Fred. However, I'd like to see Pogba in. Pogba will be cast out to the left. I would never normally say this, but I feel this is going for one Mata. Mata is a guy that we haven't really spoken about tonight, but still.
No, that I don't massively disagree with either. To be totally honest, like that's not something I don't think that's a crazy idea by any stretch of the imagination. The quality that man brings on the ball, like yeah, I mean that could be a shout. I don't know if I'm not sure at this point if he would, but that wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Matt got in the team.
Yeah, and I wouldn't argue with that either. I think he's a great player, Mata. He's still valuable to us. But yeah, so Meg, you've gone with Fred and Pogba and Bruno as your midfield three.
Yeah.
And then what we're saying for our front three then, guys, what we're going for. Go on, Greg, I'll let you start this one.
I think we're going to have Cavani up top. I would like to see, if we're going with that midfield, then I would then like to see Rashi back on the left. And actually, I would like to see Greenwood on there because coming in from the right. Because from the point of view of, look, I know he hasn't played as well as he did last year, and it's been a bit questionable. But that boy, when he's on the ball and he's twisting and turning in the box, we're talking about the fact that we're having two midfielders playing as centre back as well. I just think there's a situation where he could really cause a lot of problems. And again, when you've got if you did have the likes of Pogba and Bruno already on that pitch as well, I would really like to see him come in there and just be that absolute wonder that he can be. And I think from what we've got on the right, unless we are sticking Rashi back over there again, I would prefer to see Greenwood out there than I would Dan James.
I agree with you completely there. I think if there's choice between those two, I'll go with Greenwood. Tahir, thank you for the super chat. It says, go after Paul where they're weak, playing Lindelof and Fred and McTominay will hand initiative to Liverpool. We hope then not to concede. It's a good point. Attack is our best form of defence. Just go at them. Another player you could bring on as well as Van der Beek, obviously. Still yet to really nail down a spot in the lineup. So Van der Beek is another one who would keep the ball very tidy on the ball. And if we're aiming to attack and have the onus and have more of the ball, then I think Van der Beek is a good shape. But I do think a bit more of a case of him coming off the bench if he is to feature at all. Unfortunately, I do want to see more of him though. But yeah, I think Greenwood, like you mentioned, Cavani, and then Rashford back onto that left. I wouldn't moan at that. I am hoping Martial is fit though. But obviously, I think of Martial when he turned Skirtle. Martial! Yeah, I always think of that. So yeah, I would love Martial to play, but if he's not fit, then I'd completely agree with that. I mean, Meg, what's your front three?
I actually hadn't really considered Greenwood until Greg had spoke about it then and about him being on that right-hand side. And I love Greenwood coming into the box from that right-hand side and pinging it to the bottom, to the back post. So I'm just going to switch mine up a little bit and say that he'll rest Martial for a little while and go for Rashford, Cavani, Greenwood.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that. I have to agree with both of you. The only thing I would change is if Martial's fit, then I think Rashford would come onto the right, Martial onto the left, and Cavani centrally. But I do think that Cavani should definitely start. But that being said, and that's our predicted lineups, I'm going to ask you both what your score predictions are. We've had a few in the chat already, so we've got a 2-1 there, and then 2-1 the opposite way from Doug. I've seen a 3-0 to United predicted as well. Get in the chat, guys. Let us know what your predictions are. I'm just scrolling up to find the others. A 3-2 United win. Expecting a tight one there. Greg, what's your score prediction?
I'm just going to go 3-1 United. They are throwing it out there. I've been mulling it over. And I don't know, I just feel like it could get into one of those slightly nasty games where people are going at each other and it might leave open some spaces for a bit of pace and quality. And I feel like watching that, it'll be a 0-0 draw. You watch it, it'll just be, again, it'll be another ball fest.
Hope not. I hope not.
I absolutely hope not. I think it's got that opportunity to be something like that. So that's what I'm holding on to. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm going to be, as always, very much pro-United in that way. I have a lot of belief that this team can do that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, you know what? If we win tomorrow, what a big step forward that is. And then I'll start to get sucked into this title talk. But Meg, how are you feeling about tomorrow? What's your score prediction?
My head and my heart are slightly contradicting each other at the moment. My heart is going for a 2-1 United, but my head kind of thinks it's going to be a 2-2. I feel like there's going to be a big chance at the end. I feel like that we'll go to 2-1 and the Liverpool will have a big chance, and it's whether or not they take that big chance. So I'm undecided. It's either a 2-1 or a 2-2, but we'll see if they take that chance.
A lot of people think it's going to be close. I've said 2-1 to United. That's my prediction. I'm hoping for a Fergie time winner. I think it's going to be a tight game. Two teams very similar in the way that they're set up, I think. And I think it's more about, like Greg said earlier, our key players play a big part in it and hopefully making a difference. But yeah, I'm hoping that we just nick it. I really am. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are as well. Hopefully, like I say, after the game, we'll be talking about a positive result and we'll be smiling. That's what I'm hoping for. Thanks, Doug, for the super chats. Tomorrow's game is the biggest Liverpool versus United game since 2008-09. Do you think we can see a red card? Actually, yeah, we haven't had a red card for a while. I think Gerrard, when he was on the pitch for 38 seconds, was it? That was the last red card, I think, in this game. So, yeah, Boye could be starting. I think that's always a chance for a red card, to be fair.
The same thing. Could you imagine some epic challenge coming sliding across and Boye and everybody just going, stop, please stop. And then there we are. But hopefully not from a United side anyway.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. But thanks, Doug, for the super chat. Yeah, feeling positive. Fingers crossed that does actually pay off and we're smiling tomorrow evening. But guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Greg, thanks for taking the time, talking to us again about United. We're in a bit more of a positive place than the last time we were talking as well, which is a nice thing, isn't it? But guys, make sure you go and follow Greg on all his socials and that. He's a big United fan. A lot of people probably don't know that, so they've learned that from today. And yeah, have a talk to him about United. He's always willing to have a conversation. Hopefully a positive one tomorrow. I'm going to keep saying that because top of the league and I'm going to say positive. But guys, if you are new in the chat as well, please hit the sub button, hit the like button, and obviously drop a comment afterwards. And me and Meg will definitely check the comments afterwards and respond to you there. And as always, Meg, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Again, I just want to mention one little thing, that Manchester United women have a huge game again tomorrow. Very, very similar to the men's team. Sat in first. They're playing against Chelsea, who are sat second. And Chelsea are also 3 points behind them. So it's on BT Sport 1 at 2:30. So you've got a whole day of Manchester United if you really want it.
And you know what? They've been playing well, haven't they, Meg? So I'm definitely tuning in that one. Definitely tuning in.
Thank you to you for this pair, but I just wanted to mention that as well.
No, definitely get it in because you know what? Top of the league on the women's, top of the league on the men's. Why aren't people watching it? Just get over there and watch it. You're not doing anything. Watch it. Definitely. And Greg, thank you so much.
I'm on BBC One right now, actually, doing a game called Catch Point. So, yeah, if you want to watch me make an absolute fool of myself, then I'm on there right this very second. So, yeah.
Go and check Greg out on Catch Point. I'm going to check that out as well, actually.
So we're all off to watch BBC One.
Yeah, go and watch BBC One right after this. But Greg, thank you for taking time coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me back on again. Hopefully invite me back again soon.
Definitely. Absolute pleasure as always to speak to you. Have a lovely evening, you two. Have a lovely evening, everyone in the chat. Keep smiling. Sure, we'll be speaking to you at some form or wherever on Twitter or wherever tomorrow before the game. But yeah, look forward to it as much as you possibly can. Enjoy it. Keep smiling, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.